So starting on with the fuselage, we need to prepare the two fuselage sides F6 and F6A by making a left and right hand pair. Okay, so first thing we got to do is find the two fuselage sides. Really simple, there they are. So I'll just pop them out of the sprues and give them a quick clean up. Okay, there's one. Glue doublers F7 in place. So we have to find F7, 2 ply doublers, parts F7 on there. So again, as I mentioned in the previous videos, everything is so easy to find. There's a good parts diagram in the instruction book. You just look for it and copy the part numbers from the instruction book and the diagrams onto the actual wooden parts. So here's a little trick Slec have cleverly done. Then they've marked the back of both fuselage sides with a laser line, which you can just see that there. And if you have both laser lines showing there and there, you have two opposite sides. Okay, so obviously if you're making it up and you've got one that way up with the laser line and one that's that way without the laser line, and you make that up, you're going to make two sides the same. So that's a little nice little touch they've done. So okay, so we'll do that then. We'll put them that way round, both laser lines showing, fuselage sides are right there round. Okie dokie, so do that. Glue doublers F7 in place. Right, okie dokie. So they go like so. At the front where the wing sits and over the canopy area, like that. Okay, so mark around that doubler. And again, because I want this right now, I'm going to just C8 in place with a medium thick CA. That's that one marked up. I'll do the same with this one. Put a nice even bead around, leaving a gap around the edges. Carefully lining it up. Okay guys, that's F7 glued in place. So again, if you're not confident to do that with CA, use a slow setting glue like a PVA glue or wood glue or something. Me, again, I don't want to wait ages for it to dry, so I'm happy to just C8 in place. Again, I'm going to carefully line that up. There we go. And there. There we go. Using a razor saw, cut a series of slots part way through corner reinforcements F11 and glue in place along the bottom edge of F6. The slots will make it easy for F11 to follow the bottom edge. Okay, the modellers. So we take F11, which is triangular section, and we use a razor saw to cut a series of slots like so all the way along, and that will help this to bend and follow the shape of the fuselage. So about halfway through the triangular section should be about fine. So just one pass with the saw, every sort of, I don't know, probably 6-7 mil maybe, all the way down. Okay, so we have a series of slots cut through that triangular part. So what we have to do now is line this up with the bottom of the fuselage and follow the shape and glue it round the fuselage all the way along the length. Okay, that's bending so much easier now and shaping so much easier. So again, I'm going to use CA for this. If you haven't got a razor saw, don't worry, any kind of junior hacksaw. Okay, we can carry on now, work that up there. So we've now got that glued onto the bottom of that fuselage like so. There we go. Obviously making sure that the bottom's flat so that when we put the bottom of the fuselage on, we can glue it along there. So what I'm going to do now is just to add to that, I'm just going to run in some CA from the top here. Just whip that in down there. On the bottom, F11 and glue in place along the bottom edge of F16 slots. Make it easy for F11 to follow the bottom edge. Fit top edge corner reinforcement cut from F12. Make certain that both parts finish at the laser line to the rear, allowing for T9 to be fitted later and F11 overlapping the fuselage fronts. Okay, so I will cut that off there then at that laser line. That now finishes with the laser line as per the instructions. So F12 is going to be the shorter length of triangular section, which goes at the back here. Okay, so that sits up against our doubler and finishes on our laser line. No need to cut slots in that because it's a straight edge. So line the CA all down there, finishing at the laser line. Drop that on there, line it up. There we go. It's all lined up lovely. Finish that off at the laser line. UK, and I'll just wick some CA along the bottom there. Okay, and that's that. Right, side, but I'll do that in a second. Reinforcements at the rear to allow for fuselage taper, leaving enough gap for T9 to fit into later. See picture B. Picture B is take that down. Take these down to 2.4 millimeters. Okay, the way to do that is take a piece of 2.4 millimeter balsa, put a pen mark on there, like so, and then we'll sand that down to that to a taper there. Okay. A little bit more, not much. So that'll allow the back of the fuselage to come in. Right, now step in doubler F7, glue at right angles to one of the fuselage sides, former F3. So this is where we're going to work on this side now and get the formers glued in and upright. So we'll find former F3, which is that one. Is here. Okay, so that's F3 there. So what we'll do is get a set square, make sure that's sitting square that way. That's perfectly square at that, so we'll just mark that up. And we'll CA that in place. Take the set square, make sure the fuselage side is flat, line that up with the pen mark. Use a set square to make sure it goes in upright. Side, glue into former F3 and add in former F4, bring the two fuselage sides together at the rear and glue together. Okay, so what I'm going to do then, at that stage, I'm going to go off camera and do the triangular section on this fuselage side, and then we can bring these in together. So I'll see you in a bit, guys. Right, modelers, so I've prepared the other fuselage side with the triangular section, but I did miss something. What you have to do is, what it tells you to do is to mark the front of the fuselage, okay, and 21mm from the bottom, draw a straight line and cut that off. Okay, so what I'll do, take a measurement there from the bottom, 21mm, using a set square on the top where the canopy sits, because that's the square part. Mark a straight line. Okay, and then using a razor saw we'll cut that off. Okay, to clean that up. And I've already marked this one, so we'll cut this one off. Sand to the line, so it's nice and straight, nice and square. Okay, there we have it. Right then, next job. Add the second fuselage side, gluing to former F3 and adding former F4. Bring the two fuselage sides together at the rear and glue together. Right, okay. So I've already squared. Line that up very carefully. The height can't change, it can't go off squiff because it sits into the plywood former. So we'll just make sure it's on the line. And I'll just flash that off. There we go. Okay. So now we need to add F4 and bring the two together. Okay, F4. There's a slot in this former which is where the snake for the elevator push rod runs through. So we'll put that on the right hand side as per the drawings. And again, that just sits in to the slots in the ply doubler. So CA again. Put that side in first. Get a set square in there. Make sure it's sitting flush. Good. There we go. Flash that off. Add sides in at the front and add formers F1 and F2 and elevator servo mount F5. Again, make certain the fuselage assembly is accurate. Add F8 at right angles to F1. Right, okay. So now we've got formers F3 and F4 in place, and we've got the fuselage all running straight and true. It does say to bring the rear together and glue together, but I'm going to leave that until I've done the front. So what we have to do is glue in formers F2 and F1. So former F2 and F1. Now F2 goes against the ply doubler like so, where F1 goes right at the very front like that. Okay, right then. And then F5 is servo plate. Can we get that in after if we So I think we'll add F5 first. So we'll add the servo tray first, make sure you get that the right way around, which it is that way around. Okay, we'll add this first just because it'll be a little bit awkward to get in afterwards. See they up there. We'll just add that into its slot there, like so. Push it in nice and tight. And then what we'll do is we'll squeeze some CA in down that edge. Okay, and then pull that in like that, keeping that all touching, all nice and flush. There we go. Okay. What I'll do while I've got that there is I'll just wick some thin CA all the way around. Just to fill in any gaps. And I'll do the same underneath. Tray all glued in nice and solid. So we'll move on to format F2, which again just sits, if you can see there, it'll just sit all up against there, so there's no need to worry about drawing any lines or anything. If you push it up against there, it's all got to be square and true anyway. So we'll do both sides. Okay, and we'll put that in. If you want to get this on camera. Like so, and then just squeeze the whole thing together. That's it. And same again, while that CA is wet, I'll wick in some thin CA just to fill any voids. And that's that former in place. So F1 just goes right at the front there like that. So we'll glue that up. And offer that in place. Keeping it all straight and true. That's it. Okay, that's the front part done, I think. So let's have a look. What I have to do is bring the rear in. So we'll bring that in and check that we're lining that's all lining up on the plan, which it is. So it says we've got enough of a taper on that now. Okay. So let's see the rear section there where we tapered it off. So what I'm going to do is, it says to bring that in, so I'm going to put the glue, I'm going to put some CA on along them tapers, top and bottom. So F8 is the is part of the nose block, plywood part that goes in the centre, and gives us our shape. So what we need to do is glue that into F1 like so, okay, and using a set square to make sure it all runs straight and true. I think that slot must be a for the canopy, where the canopy goes into, which again, another nice little touch. So glue on the line, set square, lovely job. And flush it off. Former F8 fitted. So the next job was to glue the two nose blocks F9 in place, either side of former F8, and then obviously we plane and sand the two nose blocks down, using the shape of the former as a guide at the front, and then tapering it in. It does take to do it one side at a time. I'll sand this nose block in one. Done plenty of them in the past, so I know what's required. So I've run the grains of the nose block are vertical. They have to go vertical. If you try and follow the grain of the fuselage, they don't. There's not enough height the way the blocks are cut. The reason the clamps are on and I've not used a CA glue is CA doesn't sand very well, and this nose block's going to require quite a lot of sanding and shaping, and I don't want a CA glue getting in the way and making the sanding job not look very tidy at the front, because when the covering's on it's going to stand out like a sore thumb. So what I've done is I've just used a Superfatic, which is an aliphatic glue. It sands, aliphatic glues sand really nicely, so that's why I chose to use that on the nose block. So that'll be dry within an hour. We're not going to be sanding it today anyway, so but in an hour I'll just take the clamps off and that'll be all good. So that's that part done. Let's have a look what we've got to do now. So nose block is done. It does say place and sand this to profile. That'll have to wait till later, so we'll carry on with something else in the meantime. Okay, so sand and flush the top fuselage side edges and glue in place the top cross grain upper sheet cut from F14. Right, okay. So let's see what it says F14 should be. So we look at the parts list. Fuselage F14. It's 1.5mm by 76 by 381. So that's our F14. So we sand the top of the fuselage. Make that nice and clean. Okay, so sand flush the top side done. From F14. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll just take some sheet and cut some sections. Just use the set square, cut some pieces off. Okay, so we'll start with that. And running flush with F14 there. We'll glue that in place and work that down the fuselage. Okay, so we'll see how this. Again, I'm going to keep the CA away from the edges. Again, just to fill any gaps. Remove the snake. Sit the fin onto the model, like so, onto the fuselage, like so. Okay, so we just slot that in there. Not worried about whether it's all centered and everything at the moment. We're just popping it in place there, like so, and then we're going to mark those two lines onto the top sheeting. Okay, and then roughly find the center. It's very roughly. And then what we'll do is we'll cut that out. And work it in. Right then, modelers, that's it for the fuselage for today. You can see the sheeting is done, all cross grain. Got the outer sleeve of the snake there coming through for the elevator. We've got all of the underside sheeted, just requires sanding to profile. Nose block is on, glued with the aliphatic resin. Now the one I've used, which is a bit watery, is this one. It's the only one I've got, so I've just used that. I could have used a Gorilla Wood glue or something, but I know that that's going to sand absolutely spot on. So I'm going to put the model together and have a look at it in the state it's in. So I'll be back with you in a second, guys. Okay, modelers, so that's where she's at. It's looking pretty sleek, if you ask me. Asking to fly, that is. Asking to ride the lift on those slopes. So yeah, I'm really pleased with the way it's going. That's where we're at then. So in the next one we'll finish sanding up that fuselage to shape. We'll get the canopy put together, and I've got a little tip coming in a video that's going to make your models look completely different. When you take off that canopy and you look inside, your models will look amazing, and you fellow friends at the flying field will be in awe. So I shall be doing said trick to this model, but I shall be putting a tip in a video of its own. So it'll only be 5-10 minutes long, but it'll change the way your models look forever, guys, and you'll love it. Okay, right, that's that for now. See you in the next one. Bye bye.